We're joined again by Esther George, the president of the Kansas City Federal Reserve Bank, and once again this year's host of the Fed conference here in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And Esther, thanks for joining us once again on Fox Business. The theme of this year's conference is inflation, obviously an important issue to the Fed and to central bankers around the world who are going to be attending the conference. So what do you hope to learn about the inflation issue in this year's summit?
Well, inflation dynamics and monetary policy is the topic for this year's symposium, and we thought about it in the context of what we're seeing around the globe, as you say. So it's not just an issue in the United States relative to the Federal Reserve's target for inflation, but many advanced economies and are experiencing what I would call unusual inflation levels relative to the amount of stimulus that's been put into the economies. So we've invited papers and discussion around that, and I think it will be interesting and I hope shed some light on what are the things that are driving today's environment. How should central banks think about their targets for inflation? It's particularly interesting because it was almost 20 years ago that we last talked about this topic here at Jackson, achieving price stability. And if you think about 20 years ago, the conversation was all around how to maintain low or zero inflation and how central banks should think about it. So we're in a different place today, and I'm looking forward to hearing the insights that come from our discussion.
And you said in our portion of the interview that aired on the Fox Business Network that you think that some of the causes of the continued very low inflation right now are temporary. But I'm wondering if we continue to see this kind of low inflation for whatever reason, continue to see turmoil in some international economies like China's, and continue to see financial market turmoil, is it conceivable that that we could continue to see these near zero interest rates for a lot longer?
I hope not.
Yeah.
The disinflationary pressures that we're feeling, as you noted, come from oil shocks, come from a number of places. So one of the things you look for is how is the public viewing this? How are inflation expectations holding up under that as a read for how central banks should respond? At this point, as we see relatively stable inflation expectations, the question is, in what time frame should we expect to get back to targets? How should we think about the drivers around that? And again, that's why we picked this topic for this symposium, is to try to bring light to some of these issues for central bankers as we think about those issues.
All right. Well, Esther George, thanks again for joining us once again.
Thank you, Peter.
On foxbusiness.com.
Okay.
Looking forward to a good conference.
Thank you.